She was holding her boarding pass, ready to save her marriage. She never expected to see that name on the seat assignment screen. 3 rows behind her, the woman her husband swore didn't exist. Rachel Carter had always believed that love was a choice you made every single day. She'd made that choice for 11 years. Through the early apartment with the broken heater, through the miscarriage they never talked about enough, through the years of her husband Daniel's unpredictable travel schedule, and the weekends she spent alone with their golden retriever Max, telling herself that this was just what a grown-up marriage looked like. Daniel was a regional sales director for a pharmaceutical company. That meant flights. That meant conferences in cities she'd never visited. That meant dinner tables for one, and texts that sometimes took 4 hours to answer. But Rachel had built something with this man. A home in suburban Columbus, Ohio. A life. Plans. And so when Daniel came home one Thursday evening in March, unusually tender, unusually present, and suggested they take a long weekend trip to Cancun. Just the 2 of them, no phones, no laptops, a reset. Rachel had felt something loosen in her chest. "I've been distant," he said, not quite meeting her eyes. "I know that. I want to fix it." She'd wanted to ask the questions that had been building for months. The way he angled his phone away from her. The perfume she once thought she smelled on his collar. Light, floral, nothing she owned. The name Nikki that appeared twice in his texts before he changed his lock screen password for the first time in their marriage. But she didn't ask. Because she wanted to believe him, she booked the trip herself. Direct flight from Columbus to Cancun, Friday morning departure, a boutique hotel on the beach with a king bed and room service and a view of the water. She bought a new swimsuit. She got a blowout. She told her best friend Priya, "I think we're going to be okay." Priya had gone quiet on the other end of the phone. "Rach, just keep your eyes open, okay? That's all I'm saying." Rachel had laughed it off. The night before the flight, Daniel was distracted, typing on his laptop at the kitchen island while she packed. When she walked behind him, he closed the screen just a little too quickly, then smiled up at her with that easy smile she had fallen in love with. "Can't wait," he said. "Me too," she said. And she meant it. Columbus Airport on a Friday morning is a particular kind of chaos. Spring break travelers, families with too much luggage, college kids in oversized hoodies, half asleep over their coffee cups. Rachel and Daniel moved through security in comfortable silence. He carried both their carry-ons. He bought her an iced coffee from the terminal Starbucks without being asked. Oat milk, 1 pump of vanilla, the order he'd memorized years ago. She thought, "See? This is real. This is us." They were at gate B14, 40 minutes before boarding, when Daniel's phone buzzed. Once, then again. "Sorry," he said, turning slightly. "Work thing, 1 second." He typed quickly, put the phone face down on his knee. Rachel looked away. She watched a little girl in a tutu chase a rolling suitcase across the carpet. She sipped her coffee. She made a decision, quietly, in that moment. This weekend, she was not going to be suspicious. She was going to be present. She was going to give him the chance to be the man she married. Boarding was called for their zone. They joined the line. Rachel reached into her bag for her boarding pass. She still printed them, a habit from years of travel anxiety. And as she did, she glanced up at the gate agent's screen. It was one of those moments that shouldn't mean anything. The screen was showing the passenger list, and the gate agent was scrolling through it, checking something. Rachel wasn't trying to look, but she has always had sharp eyes. She's always been a reader, a noticer. And the name was right there. Cole, Nicole A. Seat 24C. The world didn't tilt. It didn't go dark. It just sharpened. Nicole Cole, Nikki. Rachel stood very still for exactly 3 seconds. Then she stepped forward and handed the gate agent her boarding pass with a steady hand. She didn't say anything to Daniel. She walked down the jet bridge. She found their seats, 14A and 14B, window and middle. And she sat down and she buckled her seatbelt and she looked straight ahead. Daniel slid in beside her, put his hand on hers. "You okay?" he asked. "You look pale." "Fine," she said, "just tired." But her mind was already doing the math. Nicole Cole, seat 24C, 10 rows behind them. Their romantic getaway, his suggestion, his choice of flight. And Nikki, somehow, on the same plane. The plane lifted off the runway, and Rachel made a decision. She was not going to explode. She was not going to cry. She was not going to give either of them, the satisfaction of watching her fall apart in public. She was going to be sure, and then she was going to be ice. Daniel ordered a Bloody Mary from the flight attendant. He seemed relaxed, almost happy. The tension she'd been watching in him for months had dissolved. She understood now what that meant. He wasn't nervous because he'd planned this. He thought he was managing everything. He thought he was in control. The flight was 2 hours and 40 minutes. After the first hour, Rachel excused herself to use the lavatory. She walked down the aisle slowly, the way you do on a plane when you're being careful not to bump elbows. She counted the rows. Row 22, 23, 24, seat C. She had imagined many versions of Nikki over the past months. In her worst moments, she'd imagined someone younger, easier, someone unencumbered by the weight of a shared life. The woman in seat 24C was in her mid-30s, pretty in a quiet way. Dark hair pulled back, a silk sleep mask pushed up on her forehead. She was reading something on her Kindle with headphones in, and for one strange moment, she looked just ordinary, just a person on a plane. Then she looked up, and she saw Rachel, and Rachel watched the blood drain from her face. They looked at each other for exactly 4 seconds. Rachel didn't say a word. She walked to the lavatory, locked the door, and stood with her hands on the sink, looking at herself in the metal mirror. Her heart was slamming. Her jaw was tight. She breathed, in, out. She thought about her grandmother, who had raised 3 kids alone after her grandfather left, who had never once let anyone watch her grieve. "Save your tears for your pillow," she used to say. "The world doesn't deserve them." Rachel washed her hands, fixed her hair, put on a small, controlled smile. Then she walked back down the aisle. As she passed row 24, she paused. She pulled out one earbud from Nicole Cole's ear, gently, almost politely. "I'm Rachel," she said, quietly enough that only the 2 surrounding rows could hear. "Daniel's wife. I saw your name on the gate list." She tilted her head slightly. "I just wanted to put a face to the name." Nicole stared at her. Her mouth moved, but no words came. "No need to respond," Rachel said pleasantly. "Enjoy your flight." And she walked back to row 14. She had been back in her seat for approximately 8 minutes when she felt the cabin shift. She knew, without turning around, that Nicole had gotten up. Daniel felt it too. She watched his body go very still, and then Nicole was standing in the aisle beside their row. Her voice was low, but not low enough. "Daniel, she knows." The rows around them went quiet in that particular way that crowds go quiet when something real is happening. Daniel turned. His face cycled through 5 emotions in under 2 seconds. Rachel watched all of them. Shock, recognition, calculation, a brief flicker of something like relief. Then fear. "Rach," he started. "You should sit down," Rachel said to Nicole. Her voice was calm, almost clinical. "The seatbelt sign is on." "I'm sorry," Nicole said, and she wasn't talking to Daniel. She was talking to Rachel. Her eyes were wet. "I didn't. He told me you 2 were separated." The woman in 24A had her phone out, recording. So did the man across the aisle. Rachel was aware of this. She didn't care. "Separated," Rachel repeated. It wasn't a question. It was the word sitting in the air between them, solid and impossible, because Rachel and Daniel had gone to a marriage counselor together just 3 weeks ago, because there was a joint mortgage and a shared calendar and a dog named Max who slept between them. She turned to Daniel. "How long?" she asked. "Rachel, please, not here." "How long, Daniel?" He pressed his lips together, looked down at his tray table. 14 months, Nicole said softly. Someone in the row behind them audibly inhaled. 14 months. 14 months of conferences and late returns, and that perfume she'd convinced herself she'd imagined. 14 months of marriage counseling, of renewed date nights, of him suggesting this trip, this romantic getaway, this chance to save something he'd apparently been destroying the entire time. And he had put them on the same flight. Whether by arrogance or accident, she would never fully know. Rachel looked at her husband for a long time. Then she unclipped her seatbelt. She picked up her carry-on from the overhead bin. She walked 4 rows back to a vacant window seat. The flight was not full. And she sat down and she looked out at the clouds below them, white and clean and utterly indifferent. The flight attendant came by. "Ma'am, are you all right? Can I bring you anything?" Just water, Rachel said. Thank you. The attendant brought water, and then, quietly, a small wrapped piece of dark chocolate. She set it on the tray without a word and moved on. Rachel sat in the sky, and she drank her water, and she did not cry. Behind her, the plane had erupted into a dozen quiet conversations. Phones held low, heads bent together. She could feel the story spreading through the cabin in real time, the whispered versions, the filmed clips, the texts firing off to people on the ground. She thought about Priya's voice on the phone. Just keep your eyes open. She had. The plane landed in Cancun at 12:47 in the afternoon, local time. Rachel was among the first off the plane. She moved through the jet bridge quickly, through baggage claim, past the taxi lines, and into the bright, flat heat of the Mexican afternoon. She had a reservation at a boutique hotel on the beach. She kept it. She did not wait for Daniel. She did not look back. She took a cab to the hotel, checked in under her own name, changed into the new swimsuit she'd bought for the trip, and walked down to the beach. The water was turquoise. Genuinely, impossibly turquoise. The kind of color that looks fake in photos, but turns out to be real. She ordered a glass of white wine from the beach bar, and she sat in a chair at the edge of the water, and she let the waves touch her feet. Daniel called 6 times that afternoon. She let it go to voicemail each time. On the second day, she called Priya. I know, Priya said, before Rachel could speak. How? It's kind of everywhere. The videos from the plane had been posted by 3 different passengers. They'd spread across Reddit, TikTok, Twitter. The comments were full of strangers who'd never met her, parsing her face, debating what she'd said and how she'd said it, speculating about what she would do next. Are you okay? Priya asked. Rachel considered the question honestly. I'm sitting on a beach in Mexico, she said. It's 80 degrees. My wine is cold. That's not what I asked. I know. She watched a pelican dive into the water and resurface with something silver in its beak. I think I will be. Eventually, she paused. I think I just needed to see it for myself, to know I wasn't imagining it. And now I know. She flew home Sunday, alone. Economy Plus. The hotel had refunded Daniel's portion of the stay without question. She called a divorce attorney Monday morning. She kept Max. And sometimes, in the weeks that followed, strangers on the internet would find the video and comment, She was so calm. How was she so calm? Rachel had seen those comments. She knew the answer, but she didn't post it. She'd learned it from her grandmother on a Tuesday afternoon in a kitchen that always smelled like strong coffee. A woman pressing her hands flat on a worn table and saying, Baby, some people will do anything to watch you break. The most powerful thing you can do is refuse to. That's what Rachel had done. At 30,000 feet, in front of 200 strangers, with her whole life falling out from under her, she had simply refused to break. And she flew home, and she started over. And that, as it turned out, was enough. If this story moved you, if you've ever had to hold yourself together when everything inside you wanted to fall apart, drop a comment below. Just say, she kept Max. We'll know. Subscribe to Eyes Don't Lie. New stories every day. And remember, the most dangerous person in the room is the one who stopped crying.